All right, welcome to Study Skills and Time Management Strategies workshop, part of our Student Success workshop series. My name is Kirsten Wheeler, and I'm your Student Success Coordinator. And I will refer to the slides, which you'll see in our next screen. All right, let's get started. How do you study? Hopefully not like this. Because you find yourself getting drawn in by the wrong things. The internet, everything you love pops up. It's programmed to do that on the things that you like. All right? So you can't sit there and just like, oh, well, let me just. Oh. You can't be ironing and study. You can't be cooking and studying. Studying is a time where you have to set aside and isolate yourself and your time. It's uninterrupted time. Not while you're Facebooking, not while you're doing other things. It's strictly your study time. All right. If you're studying like her, no, I don't know where you're gonna be in a few weeks if that's your study time. All right. She just looks a little too laxed. All right. Now, sometimes when we study, we do a little bit of what we call surface learning. Now let me see who's the surface learners. Who does just enough by a show of hands? Who does just enough studying, just enough to get by? Let me look over these notes that this professor went over, okay? Let me just try to see, well, maybe before class, let me just look over it and cram. Who are my crammers? Come on, be honest, show of hands. Thank you. Right. Your time. Okay. So time management is really your deal. All right. So you find yourself cramming. You don't get the best results. You make it in your classes by the skin of your teeth doing it like that. Surface learning is what I call high school habits. In high school, that was cool. Okay? That was cool. You could pretty much cram and pass anything you needed to pass. Why? Because the teacher gave you a study guide, and it was just that. She made her flipped it around and matching. Remember those tests? Those little tests? All right. Matching, and then they have an essay or two for bonus points. Y'all remember that? That's when school was great. Right. But now, surface learning isn't going to cut it for those subjects that are a little bit more challenging, that presents new material to you. All right? It's different because when you were in the K-12 system, you pretty much, you have been exposed to that stuff off and on through the years, just different ways and adding on to it. So to ultimately test on it and at the end to take your exit exam, it was no biggie. You get to the test. Who got to the? Well, I don't know. Probably have a leak then. Y'all might be old school like me. Y'all delete? Yeah. I had the CAT. Who remember the CAT exam? There we go. Right, the CAT exam or whatever the case. If you don't know, don't worry about it. The CAT exam and your exit exam or whatnot. You're like, who got to those type of tests? Or if it was a leak, and say, oh yeah, I remember that. Because it was some of the same stuff you've been exposed to. But now you're in different fields, especially my allied health majors. You're in something different where you're going to have to be able to regurgitate this information on the drop of a dime. If you don't know the difference between parts of the brain and your femurs and your phalanges and all that stuff like that, what? I kind of don't want you working on me. Okay? I want you to know your stuff. All right? And when you're studying material like that, you have to know it. So, just common sense. Do you think surface learning is going to get it? No. Those are high school habits you have to throw to the side. Now, the reason I say that because you're just getting the gist of the information. Like, oh, she gave us a study guide. Oh, yeah, I studied her study guide. And then you get to the test and you bomb it. and you don't understand, and you think it's something wrong with the professor, huh? Oh, I took notes in that class, and I studied my notes, and I still got a 67. Who is that happening to? You studied your notes, and then, oh, thank you for being honest, okay? All right? And we're going to talk about that. How to change those high school habits if you're a surface learner. Some people are deep learners, and that's beneficial. All right? Sometimes these type of people, they can overstudy. They can overstudy. They're so detailed, they're down with it till a T. But usually they don't have a lot of trouble. And this is the level that I want my surface learners to get to. And it's just pure determination and organization. That's it. That's it. Just like we make time for daily routines with hygiene. We'll make sure we take a bath, don't we? Okay. All right, we're gonna make sure. Eating. We're gonna make sure we eat. Raise your hand if you make sure you eat every day. Okay? I know I do. I know I do. That's the way we have to incorporate the study time. And those people that are deep learners, that's what they do. They just add it like it's just another part in their day. They created it. All right? And maybe I need to be a deep learner when it comes to exercising, huh? Just add it into my day. But that's what I want to compare it to. Things that sometimes people have trouble doing. They have trouble just adding it in. All right? And that's what deep learners do. You use more of your thinking skills. And those type of learners, they know how to recreate the lessons. They know what works for them with the lectures and doing whatnot, or whatever the topic may be. They know in terminology, they need to put stuff all over the wall and what they need to go over. And they do just that. They know they have to schedule in major exams in their study time, even on the weekends. Those are what deep learners do, all right? Because when you see information, when you're trying to study anatomy and physiology, it's repetitious. You have to see this type of information daily. You can't just go to the class Monday and Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and think that's it. Don't look at it anymore. No. No, no, no. That's a recipe for disaster. All right? Here's some effective study habits. The one that sticks out to me that I stress the most when my students come in and they see me like, oh, Miss Brown, help. I don't know what to do. The teacher doesn't like me and I'm flunking. Right. I ask them, what's your schedule? All right? It's like, oh, well, uh, that lets me know you get to it when you get to it. And that's why your grades look like they do. Okay? A lot of times I ask, not to be so personal, are you married? Do you have children? Because I know how the hustle and bustle, when you're leaving school, you left work, trying to get the kids ready, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Or, my young kids that are just trying to work all the time and then go to school and da-da-da-da-da, whatever. You have to set your priorities. I tell them, you come to me and come sit in my office, and you told me you wanted to be a nurse. That's what you told me. You told me that you wanted to be a search tech. That's what you come here telling me. So I'm giving you the best road to path to that success. And I take it very seriously. Because I don't sit on the other side of my desk not knowing the struggle. And I tell my students that. And the first thing you need to do is make a schedule. All right? When I say schedule, everybody have a planner? Everybody have a planner? Raise your hand if you don't. And I can get the lady in the back to kind of pass one around. Oh, everybody has one? I can grab that if only one person. Thanks, Miss Person. Everybody have one? Now, these are effective study habits that change your mode into deep learning. Now, let's cover my first base with the schedule. Tell me this. Who, on the first day of class or prior to class, actually took their syllabus out, what I call the gospel. Who took their syllabus out and read it all the way through? Raise your hand. Show of hands. For each class. Raise your hand. And that's why, hands down, you come to me and it's like, I don't know what happened. I'm studying for this latest exam and I've been doing good. I've been doing good up until I took the final or up until I turned my last paper in. Your syllabus is the gospel because that is what you're going to format your schedule around. What's in front of you right now. And this is going to be your take-home piece. Okay? You didn't put, when you get your syllabus, you write in all your tests and all your quizzes. Why? Because life happens. I don't wish bad things on people, but bad things happen. And we have to attend those ceremonies. Okay? Somebody gets married, a friend. Woo, I'm engaged. That's fine. Let's go to Vegas. You want to go. You know what I'm saying? Things happen. Or you may have other situations where things are not just that great. Car broke down. Your money's tight. You can't get to school. Got to take the bus. You know, that's the struggle is real. All right? The struggle is real. All right? It is. All right? And you out here in front of your house like, hey, y'all going to Moses? Somebody going to and nobody ever loving this one. Like, I can drop you off at the mall, but that's about it. That's as far as I'm going. My point is, the struggle's real. So we have to plan so that we can stay on top of it. Because I get too many people that come in like, well, my baby got sick. Or, well, this happens. Or, well, that happened. All those things I just described. And guess what? At the end of the day, no one cares. I'm just going to be straight. Not that I'm being inconsiderate or they're being inconsiderate. Why? Because when you got your syllabus, you already knew the deal. That's the way the professors feel about it. And they're just doing their job. And that's what you signed up for. When you signed up and said this is what you wanted to be, and when you signed your financial aid commitment, okay? And when you get your syllabus, let's look at the top of your plan to build your study habits. Look at the top, right up here. You should go through your syllabus and put your quiz and your test. Right now, at the top of your head, maybe it's a A&P course. How many of y'all are A&P? Let's start with that. A&P, you're in anatomy and physiology? Okay. All right. Or those that are in preclinical set, whatever's your next big challenge, whatever course you have is challenging for you, think of that test and that quiz, just so we can do this sample piece, okay? Look on your calendar and write down when is the next quiz. On the top portion only. Put A&P quiz Thursday, 6:30, or whenever, okay? That's what you're going to write. So right where it says Thursday, this is my little makeshift planner. I would have made one all fancy on my PowerPoint, but I like to get a little interactive, okay? I like to participate too. So on this Thursday, I have A&P Chapter 2 test. And I have English paper due. That's the reason why I chose these two. Because A&P is the type of information you have to see every day. But you also have a daunting task of balancing all your other classes as well. Okay? You can't just put everything and all your energy in A&P. You got to make sure you get your math. You got to make sure you get your English. You got to make sure you get everything done. So the point of the first top part of the schedule is so you don't forget. So that when those things come up, you already map it out. Okay? Like, oh, my friend's getting married. March the 1st. Okay? So this lets me know if I have things mapped out where you're going to have to put more time in so you won't have excuses. Or so you won't get down to wherever it is in Vegas or wherever, have too much fun, and you haven't even looked at this stuff since you left the class session. Whose fault is that? Yours. Okay? So, ahead of time, even if your child is sick, you already know next week you have a test. So, even if you take that day and you're off or whatever, you still have to treat it like a regular day. Whenever they go down for nap or you let them get some rest or however old they are or whatever while they're sick, you know you got to get back in that book and study. You can't just kill your whole day because you have a setback. Because you have responsibilities that you signed up for. All right? And that's why scheduling is so important. So despite what's going on, I already know what the deal is. And English paper, this is what kills some people. This is what kills some people. Oh, Miss Brown, I was passing up until I turned the paper in. And the first thing did you read your syllabus when it said that your paper would be 60% of your grade? No. Well, whose fault is that? Tell me. It's your fault. That's the first slip of paper you get even before you step into class. A lot of teachers have it already on Blackboard and available. It's there for a reason. Because I don't care if you have an A or a B. 60% can shut that down. And some teachers, the English papers, some of those English papers, you have to watch them because they are 50% of your grade. Right? And then you bomb it whole semester down the drain. All the homework, all the stuff, it doesn't matter. Because you fail to take care of your responsibility and take your syllabus serious. All right? This is how it should go. Give me my own copy. A and P. We know when those tests and quizzes are, so we plan. We put our priorities where they need to be. So no matter what, if you don't have a ride, if you know your car is ready January 1st, and you waiting on income tax to get you another one, that means you need to have a backup plan to know you have to catch the city bus. It's called being real about it. If that doesn't work for you, and Miss Brown stay in Coshada, you need to have a backup plan before you start school to make sure you have a ride. Because that's not, nobody's going to excuse you because you can't get to class. It doesn't work like that. You're missing valuable instructional time. So, when we come here, if you know on the first you have an English paper due, within the first 2 weeks, you should have your intro done and maybe the first 2 or 3 paragraphs. On your downtime to the Learning Center to get somebody to revamp it and look over it and where your mistakes. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all. So then you go back and you correct that and you have your next 2 weeks or whatever. You should be wrapping up for your final draft and take it where? To the Learning Center. And that's something you want to jot down on the bottom part here. Look at the bottom part. Where you have that test on Thursday, you want to write in, okay, on Thursdays, on this date or whatnot, I want to swing by the Learning Center so I can get my paper revised. And that's how you stay on top of things. A and P, this is how it should look at the bottom. A and P course, this is how it should look at the bottom. Because a lot of times you're having, 2 or 3 chapters at the same time? That's bananas. Okay? That's bananas. Being that you got to leave here and go to work. Then when you leave work, you got to pick the kids up, take that as a lunch break. You didn't really eat, so you got to go pick them. Yeah, who had time to study 3 chapters outside of whatever she said or he said in the classroom? I don't. That's where your mind thinking. But when you're organized, you have to set that time aside. Monday and Tuesday, you should read chapters, let's say chapter 5. Say we're working on chapter 5. Well, 3. How far are y'all right now? 4, 5. All right? For this 1 week. All right? For Monday and Tuesday, you should have read chapter 4 on your own. That gives you 2 days to read it on your own. Because one of these days you have class. You go to that class and take notes as normal. But this is why. Because too many people just take the notes and don't understand what the teacher's talking about because they have no prior information or knowledge about what's going on. So if this young lady write a paper on it's Black History Month, let's say Frederick Douglass, and I don't know nothing about Frederick Douglass besides what she wrote in this exam in this 1-page paper. If she gives me a quiz on it 2 hours later, what do you think I'm gonna make on this? I might have a 50%. I might. If this is all I know about Frederick Douglass, and this is all I can study. And that's where you guys are messing up. Because you're taking only what you took notes on in class, like that surface learner. All right? You don't have any clue what else is going on with whatever y'all topic is. So Monday and Tuesday, you should have read it on your own and took your notes, your own notes. Whichever one of these days you go to class, you take those notes as well. Chapter 4 now, okay? Wednesday, that's the day you take what you learned in class and what you read to create your flashcards. All right? Because somewhere along the lines, whether you're auditory or you're a kinesthetic learner, somewhere between there, being at the lecture, writing your notes and studying on your own, those flashcards are going to hit it somewhere. Okay? Thursday, that's your day you catch up with your professor. They're there to help. If their office hour is not good for you Thursday, well, Friday. One of these days where you swing through, because guess what? This is new information. You should have questions. And that also helps build your rapport at the same time. And this way, when you come here, they don't have time to go over the whole lessons or what they went through in their lectures. You just stop in like, hey, I went over, Dr. Cox, I went over chapter 4, and I got this or whatever, but I still got like 3 or 4 questions. You have a second to answer them for me? Get your answers. That's it. That's not even 10 minutes. That's bathroom time. Okay? That's not even 10 minutes. So that when you come here Friday, you rewrite it and create your own study guide. This study guide is going to include what you read. It's going to include your questions that were answered. And it's going to include your notes taken from lecture. And trust me, through K-12, you've had enough study guides that you know what to write and what not to write. You know how to do the easy fill in the blanks. You know what information to write down that you know that you may forget or it may be a little challenging to kind of recreate it into that format. So, Saturday and Sunday, you have something to go on. And that teacher probably will give you a study guide. Now that guide should make more sense because you had something to start with. You have some sort of knowledge on what they're talking about, period. If your days don't look like that for A&P, and you're not trying to recreate yourself into deeper learning or that challenging class, because it may not be A&P for you, that may not be challenging for you, that may be a piece of cake for you. It may be math. All right? You may have a weak foundation in math, and you do the same thing. Everything I said, you do the same thing. You recreate it. And the thing with math is the only way you get better is practice, practice, practice. Because when you know how to attack it and you know the strategy, I don't care if they give you 300 gazillion divided by 45. You're going to know how to do it. All right? That's the only difference. And you want to stop in with your math professor and get some help. Why not? That's the person with the red pen. A lot of you seem like you're intimidated by instructors. Why? I don't know. I don't know. That's what they're here. That's what they're here for. Stop in. And you're like, I just didn't get it. She seemed to go over the same way she did in class. I still don't get it. That's what we have the Learning Center for. Hit it. You don't have any downtime while you're here on campus. Do as much as you can while you're here. Go to the Learning Center. Get with the math tutor so that you can practice some more. And when you go to the Learning Center, take your notes from your class and what you're working on, because they're not mind readers, you know, to see where your problem is, what you need to practice on. All right? That's how we change our mindset into being more of a deeper learner. Okay? I'm a little bit over, and I'm just going to kind of skim through. We have different teaching styles. You may have a professor that strictly lecture, and that doesn't do it for you. It's up to you to get that information and recreate it and how you need to do it. All right? If they're all lecture and you do have an auditory type memory, then get a recorder. Now you have cell phones. All right? You got a recorder built in there on what you need. Okay? Or if that's not what works for you, get with a few other people in the class that you see that are answering questions or seem to know what they're doing, and create a little group if they have time. All right? And you guys meet in the Learning Center. Whatever it takes. Go old school. Get poster board and marker and slap it on the wall at home and make your own charts, your own visual aids. Hey, recreate the drawings yourself. It doesn't matter. Also in the Learning Center for you science people, we have the actual models for most of what you're talking about. Some people have to see it and hold it. You can't just show me a picture. I don't get it. I'll forget that. Just like I went to sleep yesterday. I've slept since then. Some people have to actually hold it. Some people can do the color code thing on the worksheet and it works. But some people actually have to go see it and hold it and pull it apart. All that stuff's in the Learning Center. Stop by and go over it. All right? Learning to accommodate your needs. I just went over that. If you're a visual person, meaning that no cards help you remember things, or you're an auditory person, meaning that if you just listen to something, you got it, then that means start recording your lessons. If you're visual, rewrite your notes. That's like the best study habit for a visual person. Or kinesthetic. Go to the Learning Center and actually get the model and do it. If you don't have that type of time, well, guess what? Draw it out the best you can. Nobody has to understand it but you. And go old school and cut it out and put it all back together again. Make a puzzle or something. I don't care what you do with it. Something where you can remember it. And as cheesy as that sounds, guess what? I bet you remember it. All right? If you don't know what type of learner you are, you can jot down educationplanner.org. And it's maybe take you about 3 minutes to kind of go through that and see what type of learner you are, to see which one of these steps are a little bit better for you. Because I took it and I thought I was more of a visual person. But from that, it told me, yeah, you are about 45%, but you're really kinesthetic. I'm like, what? And when you're like that, guess what? Make a memory game. Remember the old school game when you write on one side, you put them all face down, then you have to flip it over and surprise yourself. You remember where? Don't worry about it. All right. But you know what I'm getting at, okay? Things like that. As cheesy as it sounds, it works. Build positive relationships. When you're chiming in and you have it on your schedule to work around those professor schedules, and it doesn't have to be every single class, people. I'm saying do this top part just so you can stay on top. But when you're stopping in and chiming in, those are only those challenging courses, okay? Whether it's math or A&P or something like that. And when you chime in, you're automatically building a relationship. You're more than just your Lola number. You now know that I'm Tamika. You now know that I'm Mark. You know who I am, okay? Any problems that you have with grading or studying or whatever the case may be, you solve it with your instructors. You go to them in a professional manner and you handle your business. You don't just assume, oh, well, you know how you get. You draw your own conclusions in your mind and just left. You go to them on their office hours when you have an issue with, hey, I studied what you gave me or this and that. You talk to them during office hours time. In the middle of the class is not the time to do that. Or talk about what you studied or what they gave you. All right? You set aside time to do what you need to do. Most of all, communicate. All right? As I just instructed, see your instructors. Make sure you're in class on time. No excuses. All right? And most of all, don't give up. As I stated in the beginning, you said you wanted to be a nurse. You said you wanted to be a surge tech. That's the way your academic performance should reflect, because it's only a short period of time. That's it. I look at it like this. This is how I tell time by the semester. How I count it down. By the time, like right now, when we have our Mardi Gras break, you should have a very strong B, if not an A. Because you don't have that much of a semester to go before it's over. Because Easter, it's over with. It's over with. And that time flies by so quick. So that sacrifice you're making, planning and studying and making better use of your time, planning and stuff, it's not going to last for long. Because your ultimate goal is for success. All right? Nobody wants to be continuing in a dead-end job. We want some careers. So that's what you're putting forth all this planning and stuff for, to get on the right track. All right? Here's my contact information if you need to see me. I'm in B building. You can jot down my phone number if you need to, or you can pick up one of my business cards that is in the back of the classroom right there if need be.